My name is Marvelous, and I speak for the youth. I engage industry experts to foster a skills transfer and a knowledge transfer from these experts to every youth with a smartphone. You are watching the Skylines Business Podcast.
I just got invited by a friend to the spoken word culture event, and I didn't really know about you guys, about the good work that you do.
That was your first
That was your
time.
first time?
And
Oh, sheesh.
How was your first time? How's the experience?
it was marvelous.
Pun intended.
Incredible. Incredible.
It was marvelous. So my name is Marvelous, and I'm also with Skyline Studios, and I'm with Shingi Media.
Wow.
Okay.
So
He's everywhere.
Yeah.
yeah. So I would want to give you an opportunity to really introduce yourselves.
Okay.
But for the audience, this is Val and that's Angoro. These are spoken word poets, and this one is a poetry enthusiast who seeks to explore the human nature or emotion through whatever she calls it. And Angoro is into, teaching our fellow brethren in Christ and really nurturing them into good Christians. So I'll give this podium to you, Ms. Bob, to introduce yourself.
Thank you so much, Marvelous. My name is Val. Well, my name is Valentine, but my stage name is Val. Yes, I like to call myself a vivacious, poetic vixen, and a legion and artistic manifestation of Cupid's arrow. And my pieces, my poetry rather, my identity in poetry seeks to amplify or shed light on the pain and the love and the personal struggles that we all go through to becoming who we are as people. So yes,
Okay.
that's me.
And Angoro?
That's good. Yeah, so I go by Ankoro or Sekururo. Sekururo is actually my stage name. That's what I'm trying to brand into. But yeah, I'm not fussy whether or not people call me in English or Shona. But I am in full-time ministry. So my main focus is I do one-on-one discipleship with young men who have become believers. It's mostly new believers who are still growing in their faith and want to learn more about their faith. So I'm there to just provide more intentional focus on them. Because I think a lot of times it's easy to be part of a community, but not have anybody be intentional with you. And so my whole goal is to be intentional with young men and help them grow in their faith, think something that they're passionate about. And I specifically am trying to do this through the vehicle of creativity. So spoken word is one of the many mediums I dabble in. I'm also a rapper and a singer, and I do a little bit of producing. And I also make coffee. I'm a trained barista. So eventually I want to get into a space where I can train young people and give them creative skills to develop them, so they can kind of have a portfolio before they go into the working world, as well as developing their character and the spiritual side of them, because I believe that development is holistic. And so I don't want to just focus on the spiritual and the emotional and not give somebody practical that they can use later on in life if they need it. So I'm very big on practically equipping people as well as emotionally and spiritually equipping them.
Okay. So are you a pastor?
No, I am not a pastor. So I guess you could say I'm a missionary. So
An evangelist?
not really. So missionary is essentially just people who, as much as they're going out and sharing God's word, missionaries have different functions. So for myself as a missionary, my focus is specifically on discipleship. So discipleship is the step after evangelism. So the evangelists will come and do their revivals, people come and give their lives. Then I come in afterwards, those people who have just given their lives to Jesus, and say, hey, let me walk this journey with you. Let me help you learn more about what you've just committed your life to, because it's a big commitment. Joining a faith, you're committing your entire life to something. And so it's really important to me that, one, the people I'm talking to are passionate about it. Because I never want to be in a place where I'm offering a service to someone who doesn't want it. Right? So I primarily work with people who have already found their faith in Jesus, whether it be new or slightly older. I'm just there to kind of be a guide, and help them understand more about their faith, about the Bible, just about who God is and what it means to personally know Him.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I will come back to you, Val.
Okay.
There's so many people who really ask me what inspired me to actually go into martial arts.
Okay.
I could lie and tell them anime.
That would be a good lie.
Anyway, it was a whole different story. But today it's about you guys. So, Val, what really inspired you to go into spoken word poetry?
Wow. Believe it or not, I don't think anyone has ever asked me that question before.
Oh.
This is gonna sound so cringe, but I promise it's the truth. It's how it happened. Poetry, I did not find poetry, but poetry found me. I remember I was 14 at the time, and I was genuinely that kid who was into the arts more than the sciences. I loved history, I loved English, I loved learning all those stuff. And then I remember one time, I don't even remember how I did it, but I remember just picking up a pen and I was talking to my friend. And I was like, I feel like I would be good at poetry. And then she's like, show me. What are you saying? And then I was in the debate club at the time.
Okay.
And then we went out this one time. I remember we were at Prince Edward actually. And then we were doing icebreakers. And then someone was like, let's have impromptus as icebreakers. And I didn't even know what an impromptu was. But then being the confident person, I was like, pick me. And then I go up stage and then they're like, okay, so this is how it works. Someone's going to give you a topic and then you're just going to go from there. And then I was like, sounds interesting.
Yeah.
They gave me a topic and bam, I started. And I was good, for a 14-year-old.
Yeah.
It wasn't bad.
Yeah.
And then, there's this thing that I read that if it's your calling, it will keep calling.
Ooh.
I ignored it. I was like,
Right.
but I read a lot of books. That's why. And then I started doing more impromptus in my debate club, introduced it. Like every time we'd start with impromptus before we actually got to debate. And then the more I did it, the more I was like, okay, is this a thing? But it wasn't something that I even told people about. It was just something I did in my club. It was my little secret. And then, like I said, if it's your calling, it will keep calling. Until I got to a point where I stopped entirely. I was like, I can't keep doing this anymore. And then I just stopped. And then it felt like a part of me was now missing. Like, what do you mean you stopped? And then a few years later, I'm like, you know what? Let's try that again. Let's do a rerun. And then we did that. And then I stopped again. I was very inconsistent. And then it kept nagging. It kept calling. Like even I'd just be sitting and I just have this longing to just want to write something, to just want to put my thoughts on paper. And a few years later, here we are. I'm a spoken word artist now.
Spoken word.
Yes.
Okay. All right, so I'll now get to you, Angro.
Yes, sir.
What really inspired you?
What initially inspired me? So, yeah, an important piece of information for this equation is I have ADHD, so I struggled with school. Like I was bad at everything because I was behind everyone. I was always handing in my homework late. I also just wasn't good at athletics. So those are the things in school where it's like, if people are gonna respect you, those are the things they're gonna look for. And so I didn't fit in because I wasn't good at any of those things. And so I spent a lot of my life feeling like I didn't actually have a skill set because there wasn't a space for someone like me. But then in high school, I I remember my brother came home one day and he had this hard drive and a friend gave him some music and they started playing these songs. It was this Christian rap album by Triple E called Between Two Worlds. Um, and I heard like I heard rap before, but like I never really got into it. But I heard this song and I was like, what is going on? Like this is so good. So I started listening to the song, and there was another song called "Background" by Lecrae and Andy Mineo. So these two songs at the time, I was listening to them over and over again. Like they were the two hip hop songs that were in my rotation of pop songs and and R&B. And so I was listening to these songs, and I started memorizing them and like rapping the lyrics myself. So I'm hanging out with my friends. I started rapping the lyrics, and they're like, "Dude, we didn't know you could rap." And I was like, "I didn't know either. Like, is that what I'm doing? Like, is that what's happening right now?" And then I started writing my own, which again, at 13, 14 years old, very corny. However, at the time, it was good for a 14-year-old. And so my friends were like, dude, this is sick. Like, you should write more. And so I kept writing, and it kind of just became like a catharsis for me of just like allowing myself to let loose and express myself. And I was also getting validation from people, which is like was a big thing because I'd never had that before. Like people, like finding people were like, "Wow, you're good at this." I'd never had that before, and so that was like a big moment for me. And I'm not gonna lie, for a certain time, I think I did find my identity in it, to where I'm just like, yeah, I'm the creative dude. Like, I can write something real quick. I was horrible at freestyling, but my pen game was still pretty crazy. So yeah, I kind of went through high school doing that, and yeah, eventually like more and more people started recognizing me, and I started going to talent shows, singing and rapping, and I had some local Christian hip hop artists kind of like take me under their wing, and they started taking me to different shows and exposing me to more music, and so that started influencing how I was writing, and I just kept doing that. But again, like I had this kind of inferiority complex where I got to the point where I was like, I don't know if I'm actually good at this. Like I listen to other people and I'm like, I don't know. Yeah, for real. Which I was literally just talking to someone about that the other day. And yeah, it's so crazy because then maybe when I was 16 or so, then I was at a uh, kind of a youth Bible conference called Week of Transformation. And at the end of the week, they said, hey, we're going to do like a slam poetry, but we want people to write a slam poem on what they've learned this week during like our seminars. So I get home that afternoon, I'm like furiously scribbling because I've never done slam poetry, I've just done rap. But I saw a couple videos, I was like, I think I can do this. And so I wrote a couple lines, and so they called people up to perform. And so I went up first because I was like, I want to try this out. So I got up there and I did my thing. And then for a minute, people sat there like, yeah. And then they were like, so who's next? And someone was like, after that? And I was like, yo, for real? Like, people actually like this? And so then I started doing more slam poetry. So I started doing that and rap at the same time. But again, like I never really did anything. But then at 16 years old, I was like, you know what? I need to make my own project. So I recorded an EP at 16 years old in one day. So I wrote all the songs, and I I threw a bunch of loops together on GarageBand. It sounds horrendous when you listen to it now. You can tell a 16-year-old made it. Um, yeah, but at the time, again, for a 16-year-old, it was good. And so I made an EP, and that was kind of my first step of being like, okay, like, yeah, I genuinely think I want to do this hip hop thing, but I want to get better. So I kind of just then eventually, I used to have the EP on SoundCloud, then I pulled it down, and now yeah, I know people always do. I kept everything in the vault, and I was like, I'm just gonna keep working on my craft and keep getting better and better until the point where I feel confident enough to start releasing stuff. Um, which kind of brings us to now, because I'm still getting ready to release stuff, but I'm a lot more confident in where I am, and I've realized that my creative expression is so important, even though it's not my identity. It is like it's such an important piece for my mental health to be able to um, express how I feel in a way that feels natural to me, and not fit into other people's boxes. And that's exactly what hip hop is. And I realized this recently was that what hip hop really did for me as someone with ADHD was it gave me a place to belong. When I didn't fit anywhere else, like it gave me credit with people. But then it also like it allowed me to express exactly how I felt, and it didn't give me limits. And so I finally felt like I had the space to get out all my feelings. And so that's what it became. It became this processing technique of anytime I felt something, I was jotting down notes. Um, and then it helped me connect with other people who loved hip hop as well. And so it became this thing of helping me express myself and helping me connect with other people. And so yeah, so it became a tool for community. And so that's a big part of what I want it to be now is I'm reaching out to other younger kids who are making music. And I'm like, hey, send me your demos, no matter how dumb it sounds. I want to hear it. Because I realized that that's the space I needed, and there's so many other people that need that space too. Um, so yeah, that's kind of where we are. I'm stepping into getting ready to release music and hopefully a debut EP sometime soon, or at least a debut single for sure. Um, yeah, that's right. That's right.
All right, so like as a content creator or another creator in the creative field, like there are times where you are kind of having a burnout. So where do you find your inspiration to? Maybe I'll start with you, Val.
Trauma.
Where do you find yeah
Trauma, bro.
That's so real.
I read this meme the other day. I'm sorry, guys. I read a lot of memes.
Memes are great.
That said, to be a poet, you need to not go for therapy, not go over your ex, and keep your trauma wound open. And then you're a poet. Okay, so I am a very firm believer in that art happens to an artist before they become an artist. Same thing goes for poetry. Poetry happens to a poet before they become a poet. Where I find my inspiration, my mother is going to watch this and she's going to be like, you have trauma. Where I found my inspiration, I think I was actually having a conversation with us about this at the Right Space, actually, about if you start writing from a place of pain, how do you write when you're happy? A lot of my inspiration came from traumatic experiences, I'm not gonna lie. I would sit down and I would process things that happened to me years ago, months ago, a week ago, 2 days ago. And I'd channel that anger, that hatred into my pieces. And then I got to a point where I healed. So what do you write about when you're healed? Where do you get inspiration from when you're healed? And then I just learned that for a long time, my inspiration was coming from a place of hurt and a place of pain. And I had to switch it up and then be like, whether I'm in pain or I'm in the happiest point of my life, I should not have my inspiration coming from a single source. So it could be a sermon.
Yeah.
It could be a conversation with someone. It could be a meme. It could be an Instagram reel.
Yeah.
I could be doom scrolling. It could be a word. I can get triggered by a word. And then things just start scribbling themselves in my mind. And then, so I've gotten to the point where my inspiration comes from anything and everything. That's the point where I am, and I hope I stay here forever.
That's what's up.
Yes,
Yeah.
I'm very comfortable where I am. So yeah.
Okay. So over to you, Agro. Where do you find your inspiration or maybe just the ideas? Where do all that come from?
Yeah, so I mean, similar to Val, it's through a lot of experience because I think again, it's a tool for connection. The things that the best writing and the things that people are going to resonate the most with me is things that I've experienced personally and I'm able to talk about on a personal level. And there's something about when somebody else explains their experience and you see your experience in it, you feel seen and understood. And so I think there is something therapeutic about that, knowing that you're not alone in your experiences. So that's something that I do a lot is just writing from experience. But also, I love music. And so I try to listen to different genres. So right now I'm listening to a lot of neo funk and neo soul. Um, and one thing I love about especially the neo soul genre is that it's very introspective. As much as it is a lot about love, it's also people kind of like dissecting their own minds, um, and looking at life through this lens of like, what does it look like for me to actually like put my heart into everything I do and be engaged and present in every moment. Um, there's there's a song. So there's an artist I listen to. I love this dude, Teddy Swims.
Yes.
Voice of an Angel.
He's so good.
Yeah.
Ah.
So he has a song called "These Small Hands," and he's talking about how the first time like his son ever touched him, and he understood love differently. And one of the lines was, "These small hands don't care where I've been." And it's quite literally that thing of like, a parent comes home to their kid and it's like the kid just gets excited. They're like, they don't care where you've been all day. They don't care what you've done. They're just glad that you're here right now. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like that's a whole new level of looking at things in terms of being present with people. Cause like it got me thinking of like, what if that's the way that I approach my friendships of like, I don't care where they're coming from or like the messed up situations they've been in. What would it look like to just engage them in that moment and see them who they are right then and be like, look, like, yo, you might have murked somebody this week. Maybe it's not that extreme, but it's still like you're here and that's what matters to me. Like I just want you to be present so that we can share this moment together. And I think there's something really special about that. Even as I think about my relationship with God, in the same way, a lot of times, God is not asking me to be perfect when I come before Him. He just wants me to come and be present with Him and, admit my wrongs, right? Because I'm still human, I'm still going to do wrong. But as soon as I tell Him, He's already taken that off the list. He's already said, yo, I've forgiven you, and I'm glad that you're talking to me about this. That's what matters, is that interpersonal connectivity. So yeah, but also like I've been inspired by so many other different genres. Yeah, I mean, obviously I listen to hip hop, but also in the past, I think maybe about or so years ago, I took a Spanish class, elementary Spanish for my for a language credit when I was doing my undergrad because everybody has to do it. But I was listening to Spanish music during that time to practice my Spanish. And again, like you translate other languages and you see the poetry in other languages, and it's incredible. Like the way that they choose to, like even like idioms, which is funny because there's an idiom in Spanish where they say you can't cover up the sun with your finger, which is hilarious. It's like you can't ignore what's obvious, kind of. And there was another phrase that was like, you can't. I keep looking for pears in apple trees, which means like, yeah, like I'm constantly like expecting something where it shouldn't be. And yeah, the craziest thing about that song was that song was actually about grief and this whole idea of like going back to a place expecting someone to be there. And so it's like it has like two sides to it. So yeah, like I think, yeah, honestly, just surrounding myself with different languages and different genres has been such an inspiration to me because it's allowed me to think even more outside of my cultural box and outside of my personal lived reality to connect with somebody else's because we're still connected by our shared humanity. You know what I mean? And like that always springs up so many different ideas for me. So yeah, just taking in different mediums. I think that's been the biggest thing is not shutting out a medium just because I don't immediately understand it.
Absolutely.
All right, so we see a lot of artists say something big, then they just die down gradually in a, I don't know, like in a funny way. So how do you guys really stay consistent? But for this one,
Like no.
For this one, I just wanted to spice it a little bit and maybe give you a chance to give us an improv about consistency.
An impromptu about consistency. Oh gosh.
Not my
okay.
imposter syndrome kicking in.
Yeah, for real, for real.
Like if you can't do this, you're a fraud. I'm sorry.
Oh, so
Already
oh
such
my
a
gosh.
strong word.
An impromptu about consistency.
yeah.
How do you come up with it?
That's a good prompt though.
It really is. You should start.
Yeah, let's see if I'm actually trying to remember if there's something I wrote
Same.
that's similar. Okay. So this one, okay, I've got there's something that I wrote that's actually it's kind of something. It's about perfectionism. The song was literally called "Perfectionist." So when something like, I might have finally wrote a song that I like. I panned the melody to the left and hit the harmonies just right. You have no idea what it's like to go through my notes section. I've been scrolling through arpeggiators, trying to find the right section. I don't fit in your box. I'm not a package. They think I'm Australian when they hear my Zimbabwean accent. I got a bone to pick. I guess I'm a paleontologist. Probably what I would have been if it wasn't for the ontological argument. But you're on a level above all of it. You're so available, I love it. You changed my path. Oh man, what was it?
Do you want to finish or should
Stop
we
there.
give it
It's
to Val?
hard for me to follow after that. Like, sir, can you not?
Pull from your archives. I pulled from mine. It's okay. We can cheat.
You know what? I'm gonna, shove it in my imposter syndrome's face and try my best
Yeah, you are.
to whip something out of my sleeves. Okay, consistency. I was about to say persistence. Because you said persistence, right?
Probably.
Now I'm stalling. Okay. Consistency. Bang, bang. That's poetry on the door again. He'll beat the door down until I let him in. My poetry and I are in a toxic relationship. He visits. I close my eyes and pretend he's not there. He nags, confronts me, asks me to confront my biggest fears. My poetry and I are in a toxic relationship. He's there even when I don't want him to be. Strangles me at the throat, chokes me to be who I am meant to be. Even when I'm not ready to be what he wants me to be. My poetry and I are in a toxic relationship. He comes even when I don't want him there. Stays even when I want solitude. He bears it down my throat till I understand his attitude. See, my poetry and I are in a toxic relationship. It's not that I'm consistent, he's just really persistent.
Ooh. Okay.
Even when I can't write, he beats it down till I can feel his might. See, my poetry and I are in a toxic relationship, like that husband who beats you and you really can't leave, like that man who shows you you're invaluable over and over again, but you still can't go, like that relationship we have with family. My poetry and I are in a toxic relationship. So it's not that I'm consistent, he's just really persistent. Thank you.
Sheesh.
Oh my God.
And that was off the cuff of the sleeve.
Oh, yes.
You didn't even have to consult the archives.
I didn't.
Sheesh. Okay.
Now I'm shaking.
Yo, that was crazy. You
No, but
killed
you have a YouTube channel.
But maybe I want to try.
Okay. And then he starts dropping
that.
bars.
He's even putting the shades on.
Oof.
Give it to us.
Yes, we're ready.
I was young man, leaving home, sweet home, going into the brave, wild world of business.
Okay.
And I wanted to be a billionaire. I said to my mom, you know what? I don't even want to be I want to be a multi-billionaire. And society was really staring in my face like,
You think?
and he said to me, man, you live in a different side of the coin
Ooh, a different side of the coin.
than the rich
Okay.
people.
Yo, different side of the coin.
I'm gonna
And
steal
no
that.
matter how many times you fold the coin, both sides will never meet.
Damn, I just got called poor in so many
Hey
languages.
yo.
And it really stuck in my head for quite a long time, long time. And I'm a stubborn person.
It's gonna flip the coin.
There really wasn't any way a coin or the two sides of a coin would ever meet. But I said, you know what? Maybe I could take a chisel and king, break it into two pieces, lay the twelves, one on top of each other. And that's how, or maybe that's the only way the two sides of the coin will ever meet. So I'm writing a book, and
We love it. We love
I'm
it.
writing a book called Borrowed Influence. Borrowed Influence.
Okay.
I respect people who write books.
Borrowed.
For real. The
Yeah,
grind.
there's another one that I wrote, which is about 1,000. In fact, it's just a guide to getting 1 million views on YouTube.
Oh,
But anyway,
can
this
I
one
have
is-
that?
Okay. This one is about borrowed influence. So if we're talking about borrowed influence, we're talking about networking. So let's say maybe I want to reach who is a billionaire in Zimbabwe.
Strike Masiwa.
Oh, so if I want to reach Strike Masiwa and I say, hi Strive, I'm marvelous. I want to set up a meeting at this cool business idea. I'm like, oh, where is this kid even coming from? But if I go to him and say, wow, Strike Masiwa, I've been referred to you by Dr. Nigel.
Right.
Essentially, when they began, they were together and they really have a connection. So, yeah, I'm going to tambik very fast. So this influence, which is borrowed.
Right.
So
I get
a
it.
friend of you as a friend of mine.
Yeah, there's the whole 6 degrees of separation.
So
idea,
the lesson
right?
here is in every event that you get into, just make sure you network with 2 or more 3 people.
Yeah.
Or even just saying hi.
Yeah.
100%.
And tell them whatever you're doing. That's
Yeah.
how they even get to know that you have this kind of big thing that you're doing. Which brings us to one of my biggest questions. So let's start with you, Val. What services or products do you offer as a poet or maybe outside the poetry industry?
All right. So outside the poetry industry, I'm actually an MC. Yes. I enjoy being on stage. I had to find another way. I'm actually in running MC for OtakuCon, which is an anime event. I'm a weeb, I'm a nerd, proud, wear it like a badge of honor. So yeah, I'm a co-host of the event, and I do offer MC services. Like if you ever need me for an event, hit me up.
Alright,
I'll be there.
This is Val, and she's a really good speaker. So over to you, Angoro. What services do you offer?
So I have a degree in communications. Yeah, so I got my bachelor's, praise God. Ugh, that was a struggle. Let me tell you.
I'm getting mine. I know what you're saying.
Oh, girl, the grind. But yeah, so I'm like multidisciplinary in the creative industry. I mean, I feel like within the creative industry, we're all kind of jack of all trades. So I also do graphic design. So I do that. I do songwriting. So anybody who wants who is maybe a singer or a rapper, has a good presentation, but hasn't been able to work on their songwriting, I offer those services as well. And I do voiceover as well. I recently just recorded my first voice reel, just as like a test demo, because I would love to do like animation voiceovers. Oh my gosh.
Animation voiceovers.
Yeah.
I have one animation short film that I want to do.
Okay,
I'm still
that's
looking
what's up.
for voiceover artists.
All right, good to know.
But I'm looking
That's why we're here.
I'm looking for volunteers who want to share the
It's unpaid.
Yeah.
it's really paid. If it all goes well, you get a share.
Good.
I'll leave my CV before,
All right.
before I leave.
You can go on.
But yeah, so I mean that's mainly it. And then also obviously I brought up the coffee, so I still I would love to keep doing barista work. But of course, like getting into the barista work market and not being paid peanuts is an absolute nightmare. So I would love to do barista work again, if I can have a more flexible schedule. But yeah, so I do all those things, and I think that's mainly it.
I actually don't know how I forgot this,
Go ahead.
but I'm a legal intern.
They go into
Hey.
So I'm in the process of getting my law degree. So I'm working at the moment. So I'm not in school at this moment, but I'm a legal intern. So I'm in the law field, guys.
Oh, sheesh.
10 years from now, if you
Legal
need
intern.
me to
You can do copywriting.
I can do that. I can write.
what was the
Hit me up for your wills, guys.
Okay.
I got you. I got you. Family and friends discount.
Is there any difference between going through the university channel where you get an undergrad degree or whatever?
Doing what I'm doing?
That's a good question.
Okay, so I don't know how to answer this without stepping on people's toes. I've been working for a year now, right? So initially, I'm actually going on 2 years now. Initially, I was like, let me work before I go into school to make sure this is what I want. And then for the first 3 months, I wasn't sure if it's what I want anymore because,
Yeah.
But now that I'm actually in the field, I feel like I would encourage every person who wants to go into a particular field to go in and get hands-on experience before you go to school. Because I feel like in school it's theory, and in work you actually get to see the implementation and you get to see how things are done. Reality dawns on you because right now I am studying while I'm going to work, which is hard.
Yeah.
But reading something and writing essays on it and then going into it and seeing the reality of it, I feel like are two different things. They're so different. And I think the only difference is that in school it's textbook and you have sort of you're disillusioned into believing that the textbook is how it is. It's similar to how we all know that you go to O-level, you go to A-level, then you get to uni, then you graduate, then you get a job, then you buy a house, then you buy a car. But that's not how it is.
Right.
You're going to graduate and you're going to be unemployed.
Yeah.
So I feel like the disillusionment that lies in the education system is gone when you're in the work field. You get there and you see, oh my God, it's not from A to B.
Yeah.
You gotta go A, Z, B, So I think I'm very appreciative of the fact that I'm in the legal field right now before I get my degree. There's been so many times when I've even questioned myself, do I even still want to get it?
Right.
Because reality and textbooks are two different things.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying one is better than the other. No, I'm not saying that. But I'm just saying if the opportunity presents itself for you to see reality before you go to textbook, take it. Take it with both hands because you're going to be able to see that I had a fantasy of the legal world. I watched too many Suits.
Right.
How to Get Away with Murder. I thought I was going to be, I thought I was going to be the bomb. I was going to enter the legal field and dazzle people with my eloquence. Next thing you know, I'm a judge. It don't work like that. It don't work like that. Even those suits that you see those people wearing, you wear it once a week.
Yeah.
You're in loafers. You're not even wearing heels.
Yeah.
You're in loafers because you're walking so much. So I feel like the disillusionment is gone. Now I'm going to get this degree and I'm going to know what to expect after.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the difference that I can say is there.
All right, which brings us to one of my most important questions about making money.
Ish.
So now, you were talking about the normal channels where you say go to school, get a job, make money, which doesn't really work.
Doesn't work like that.
And have you read Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Okay, so I read the first few pages.
First few pages.
I love to read, just not self-help books.
Let me not spoil it.
Okay.
Go into that one. Anyway, so how do you really make money in this arts arena?
Okay, I feel like making money in the arts industry is like similar to surviving Zimbabwe's economy. It's hard. It's really hard. And especially to get to a point of recognition where you're no longer doing volunteer work. Oh my days. I know people who've been in the poetry industry for 10 years who are still not making as much money as I would like to make at 10 years, you know? So making money in the arts industry, like from poetry, I haven't started making money from poetry, guys. If you know how I could do that,
Right.
hook me up.
Same.
I haven't started making money from poetry yet. But the MC gig, that pays here and there, you know, content creation, that pays, collaboration, but it's not paying as much as, you know, people outside there are getting. Because at the end of the day, it now depends. Like, I'm a small name in the house. I'm not a big name in the poetry industry or even in the MC industry on that matter. So there's no way I'm going to be booking gigs that are like dishing out as much money as I can. So as a beginner, I'm going to have to be content with what I'm getting. And I'm just going to have to keep pushing till burnout, till I get to the point where people can say, oh, wait, yeah, we know her. She's good. Oh, wait, yeah, no, let's get her on board, you know? But till then, what money? Show me this money. But yeah.
Okay, so Angelo, maybe you have a
Maybe he's making money.
maybe you're making money.
I'm gonna keep it a buck with you. I'm out here trusting God, quite literally. So being in ministry, I like crowdsource my paycheck. So I reach out to donors, and it's not even. I think the interesting thing about money within the world of ministry is that the way we see it is that it's not our resource, it's God's resources. So when we're talking to people, we're not asking money for us. We're asking them to say, hey, you have some of God's resources, and I need some of God's resources right now. Would you be able to share with me? Would you be willing to partner with me in this? So it's a partnership. It's not as much as we use the term donor, that's the only like term that makes sense to people who aren't in ministry. But in ministry, we would say partners because we're acknowledging that neither of us actually controls the resources. So if tomorrow God was like, the last dollar you have, I need you to give that to someone, then I would have to be like, all right, cool. It's yours, God. Like that dollar is going, right? So I'm in a place right now where I truly have no idea where my next dollar is coming from. But whenever I need it, God always provides someone. So I've been living like that since last year in August. And every single month, I have what I needed. I haven't gone without food or any of my essentials. I've been able to pay my rent, you know, albeit sometimes late. I've always had the money when I needed it. And so I'm in a space where I'm realizing, you know, I mean, I think this is something that we're coming to as the world, but realizing that like money should really be a tool, and we should treat it more like a tool than a master,
The master.
right?
72 masters.
Yeah. You know what's up. You can't serve God and mammon. But I think generally just people are starting to realize like, yo, I can't let how much money I have in my pocket define my worth. Which I'm glad we're finally getting to that point as a society. Because classism is crazy. Like, which as you were saying that, the whole idea of like flipping the two coins onto its side, like those two sides of classes never meet. And you find when they do, you know, you hear stories of rich people all the time who will travel here to Africa and be like, how are people so happy? And they don't get it. They don't get that it's because they're so like entrenched in this idea of like money is who I am and I can get whatever I want with money, that it like consumes their very being. Whereas like when you look at money, you're just like, the money's gonna come and the money's gonna go. You know, it's always gonna happen. And you know, like BIG said it best, more money, more problems. Like I think that's just the world we live in, and we need to realize that the more we can look at money as a resource that we don't need, the more we're free from any kind of corruption or like self degradation that comes along with it.
Okay. So like I was in this seminar where there was this CEO of Old Mutual, should be Simon Matsekete. He was saying, when you die, when people gather around at your funeral, do they really talk about how much money you had, or they talk about the impact that you brought in people's lives?
Yeah, wow.
So it really inspired me to say, okay, what impact should my life bring to the next? And now, for the efficiency of time, I'll end with you, Alvaro. Is there anything that you want to add, Ms. Val?
No, not really. It's been a very fun session. Thank you so much for having me on the show. And yeah, definitely, I think we should strive more to be mediums of joy and happiness. I always say that you should treat people with kindness, and like our prime purpose in life is to help people. And if you can't help them, then at least don't hurt them.
Okay.
I think I'll end on that.
And Alvaro, any word of God that you want to share?
I would say I would stick to the basics. Jesus said the two greatest commandments were love the Lord your God with all your heart, mind, and soul, and love your neighbors you love yourself. And I think like that, for me, that's been a philosophy, and that covers just about anything that I could want to say. Next time you think about doing something to somebody else, would you do that to yourself? And if so, ask yourself more questions, because that's another problem.
Yes.
So yeah.
Absolutely.
Anyway, it's been a pleasure meeting you, Ms. Val.
It's been a pleasure meeting you too, Marvelous. Thank you so
Thanks
much
for
for
having
having
us.
us.